2,000 people.
The company now has more than 1 million robots working in its warehouses, and soon these robots...
Hold up, wait.
2022. The company now has more than 1 million robots working in its warehouses.
I'm going to give a hot take. Good.
Super homeless.
The real problem is not that...
Spare change.
The problem is not actually that robots are taking our jobs. It's that we need jobs to survive. Nobody wants to work in an Amazon fulfillment warehouse. The place is a shithole. It sucks dick, and it's probably a terrible job. So, the real problem is the way that the society is structured and built around the expectation that you will have a job. That's the problem that needs to be solved.
Super Earth. Our whole does want prosperity. If
You can't stop the innovation. If you do, somebody else on the other side of the world will, and they're gonna beat you. It's the same as the people, like, imagine just if America, we just decided, yeah, let's just not build the nuclear bomb. Yeah, we think it could cause 10 million.
Spare change,
World would be right.
ma'am.
You have to build
Change.
If you
Spare change, ma'am.
Squidward? Is that you?
And he shuts the box and he's like, we used to work together. Spare change, ma'am. Change, ma'am. 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 Spare change, ma'am.
Our citizens depend on you for their safety. Our citizens depend on you for Our citizens depend on you for their safety. Our citizens depend on you for
Loose. Spare change, ma'am. Spare change. Ma'am. Loose. 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 Spare change, ma'am.
Our citizens depend on you for their safety. Our citizens depend on you for
don't build the bomb, somebody else is going to build the bomb, and they're going to control it. That's it. It's do or die. And so humans fix the robot? Yeah. Humans, if you really think that you're going to train all the people that work in a McDonald's to be robot technicians, you are a retard.
And soon, these robots will outnumber human workers in Amazon facilities. In 2016,
Good.
Foxconn,
Oh, is this the fire?
the massive manufacturing
Yeah.
contractor for companies like Apple and Google,
Marking location.
replaced 60,000 workers in a single huge factory
Yes.
in China with robots.
Absolutely massive fucking Foxconn W. I'll never say that again in my life. Those factories that people worked in were such fucking horrors that they had to put nets in between the stairways so the people that were working there who were locked inside of the building, there was a fire that happened in one of these buildings. It killed everybody because they couldn't leave because they were locked in. They put nets on each of the different stories so that people couldn't jump off and kill themselves. Those jobs do not need to be maintained. Those jobs are not enriching to people's lives. They're horrible sweatshop jobs that trade your physical health for meaningless fucking Happy Meal trinkets. We should be working as hard as we can to make sure that nobody ever has to do that job again. You see what I'm thinking? You guys see where I'm at with this?
Now, the company is planning fully automated factories. And just
Yes,
a few
thank
months
God.
ago, Foxconn CEO Young Liu predicted that artificial intelligence will make it unnecessary
go.
for large
Here it comes.
corporations to outsource jobs to low-wage countries.
Oh, there it is. That's the reason why people in Indonesia are rioting, through a second or third order effect of this prediction. Because a lot of those countries, their wealth that they had was primarily through manufacturing and doing low-wage jobs for more developed countries. Now that they don't have access to that because those jobs have been replaced with technology, they're now having to deal with creating their own economy and losing that massive injection of wealth and revenue. That's the reason. Yeah, the textile industry. Look at how big that is. It's huge. China's sweating? No. See, that's what's interesting, is that even between 2016 and now, China has made leaps and bounds. Like, China is not what it was in 1990 even. Like, the country is way more developed, way more advanced than you would even imagine. And a lot of these countries now, besides China, are now being the manufacturing places instead. And you can see this, like, if you go back, like, go to the store next time you're at Walmart or Hobby Lobby or Target, and you'll see, you know, if you're, I'm 35, right? Whenever I grew up, everything said made in China. Now, less than half of things say made in China.
You know why? Because robots will be doing most of the manufacturing work.
That's right.
However, it is not
Good.
just manufacturing
Good.
jobs at risk. Most of us want to see the United States develop a strong, clean, and efficient transportation
Vietnam,
system,
a lot of Vietnam, yeah.
including the production of millions of new cars, buses, and trucks. But if Musk and others get their way, those vehicles won't be operated by truck drivers,
That's right.
bus
And
drivers.
they shouldn't be. Being a truck driver is an extremely grueling and physically strenuous job that can create multiple health problems and issues. And it's also extremely isolating, and it causes other problems as well. We shouldn't be looking forward to and trying to protect the industry of truck drivers. We should be trying to find a way to protect the industry of truck drivers and the people that are part of that industry from being left behind from technology. I think that we're only one, I think that, like, we're, do you see kind of what, I think that all of these issues are addressing a symptom and not the disease.
or taxi drivers. They will be driverless vehicles.
Absolutely.
Millions
And the
of-
world will be a better place because of it. Because driverless automated vehicles will be infinitely safer than ones with actual human drivers. And by the time that we're his age, hopefully if we're that lucky, he's 83, 84, something like that, it will be illegal for us to drive cars.
Jobs in transportation will be eliminated. This is not science fiction. It's
reality.
already happening.
Yes.
FedEx is using.
Well, I mean, like you can use FedEx. Well, look at Waymo. Like we have Waymos here in Austin, and we also have driverless Teslas here too. I've seen them on the road.
driverless trucks to haul heavy loads along the I-45 corridor between Dallas and Houston
There
through
it
a
is.
company called Aurora. Walmart is using autonomous trucks for short-haul
Smart.
deliveries in Arkansas through a company called Gatic.
Good.
Kodiak Robotics has partnered with IKEA to conduct driverless deliveries in Texas.
Yes.
Waymo is operating self-driving cabs in Los Angeles, Phoenix, San Francisco, Atlanta, and Austin.
I'm in Austin.
We all want to see more startup companies and small businesses.
Yes.
But for workers, that will mean very little if half of all white-collar entry-level jobs are eliminated over the next 5 years.
I think this is another really big component, and I think it adds another existential problem onto the AI, is the way that AI is removing jobs and the direction that it will be removing them in. Is because AI is effectively pulling the ladder up from new trainees and new people getting into industries. Because those experienced people that have the 30 years of experience, in order to become the person that can do the work of 10 people with AI, that person started at an entry-level job, but now they don't have access to those entry-level jobs, and so they can never even work their way up. And so that's really another really big problem there too, is that it's going to be affecting people that are lower and the lower class, the working class, much more effectively. And it just makes sense, right? Because like an entry-level job is easier to do. That's why it's an entry-level job. And so it's probably going to be easier to automate. I mean, this is not a guarantee, but it's a trend.
And that is exactly what has been predicted by Dario Amodei, the founder of Anthropic,
They all predict
one
this.
of the leading AI companies
The only
in
ones
the
that
world.
aren't are the ones that are lying.
As the ranking member of the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, I just released a report finding that AI, automation, and robotics could replace nearly 100 million jobs in America over the next decade.
That is in the next 10 years. And also, just to put this into context, the U.S. population is about 355 million people. So the amount of unemployed people right now is, I think, like, let's say it's 10%. If you're counting people that are no longer looking for jobs, and that's a job market. So if you take this out, and then you also take out kids, people like this, so how many people, I'm going to ask jobs in the US. I think it's 150 million. But let me fucking just give me the thing. There it is. Yeah, as I said, as always, I just make things up and they turn out to be true. Yeah, there we go. I mean, yeah, this is the reason why I don't read statistics. And yeah, there you go. And so keep in mind that, like, you know, something like million are gone. That's more than a rapture. That's more than a Thanos snap. That's over half. They're gone. At least only include people that are actively looking for a job. I would also include people who are no longer looking for a job. Did you listen whenever I said that? I understand that unemployment is, you know, there's frictional unemployment, seasonal unemployment, type of behaviors. That has nothing to do with what you're doing. Everybody knows that. It's obvious.
Including 40% of registered nurses, 47% of truck drivers,
I think higher.
64% of accountants, 65% of teaching assistants, and
Bro. Flippy? Oh, shit. Flippy just doing work. Damn.
Jim Farley predicted that AI could eliminate, quote, literally half of all white-collar jobs in the next
This is what's very important about this. Context of the next 2 years. Assuming we don't have World War III, there will be year 11. And what about year 17? And what about year 25? Do you think that it's just going to stop there? No. This is going to be a scaling mechanism. I think it's going to go like this. And I think we'll just run out of jobs to kill, right? But whenever we're really seeing it pick up speed, I think that's not even going to be a little bit longer. It's going to be longer after that. Like, this is like, and I'm not saying like, but this is the, you know, like there's, you know, futurism, you know, like techno stuff, like the singularity level. Like, I think the 10 years will not even include the singularity level. Robot prostitutes. I hope it's the whole thing. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
that as a result of AI and robotics, quote, probably none of us will have a job. If you want a job,
Run is 10 seconds.
Yep.
hobby and do it. But otherwise,
Exactly.
AI and robotics
Falcon 1,
provide
arriving at
any basic services you want.
Exactly. And so it will become important that we create social systems and a government that is really ready for this to happen. All of this is an existential threat on the human race. And it's going to be happening to the entire world. It's going to be bigger, I think, potentially than even climate change. In fact, it might actually be very connected. That's what I'm hearing. But my point is, this is a real, legitimate, massive issue. You need to worry about population. Yeah. Bernie's point here is to nationalize literally everything so the government can control our entire lives. I don't agree with that.
Earlier this year, Bill Gates predicted that humans, quote, won't be needed for most things,
True.
unquote, such as manufacturing products, delivering packages, or growing food over the next decade due to AI.
Yes.
So, my friends, here is a rather big question. If Musk and others are only half right in their predictions, what happens to the tens of millions?
If they're only half right and it only takes out 50 million jobs in the next 10 years, that means 1/3 of the entire American workforce will be
Americans who no longer have employment because they can't find a job.
Is this the precursor to UBI? It's inevitable. It's inevitable. Anybody that can't do that is good. It's either UBI or we bring back slavery. One or the other. which one would you guys want more? Would you want slavery back, or would you want universal basic income? Both? I like that. Seems like it's pretty 50-50. Actually, no. Now we're getting a lot of slavery info here. Okay.
Whether being a janitor or a brain surgeon. The vast majority of people want to be productive members to their communities.
I think he's bringing up a really good point here, and I don't know, like I the same way that other people do. Whenever I was watching a video about how the robot was telling people to kill themselves and
Removed from our lives. Further, and now we get into some pretty deep stuff.
existential cultural problem, and I don't know how you solve it. I really don't. Because I don't understand it, because it's a feeling. I don't. I mean, like, I talked about Faxman, you're a celebrity? Is this celebrity thinking? No, this is... You know what it's gonna be whenever you go to stuff and then video games all day with God, that's terrible, huh?
The rapid on all in many ways.
I think that it could also have, in the longer term, a rehumanizing effect. Because a lot of people train their body for labor and turn their body into a machine to perform labor might have, in the longer term, if we are able to create social structures and social systems that can support it, the ability to pursue things in their life that give it true meaning rather than investing 40 to 60 hours of their life in doing something that they don't enjoy. That there is a light in this tunnel, but 90% hopefully we'll be in the 100, right?
But fundamentally alter our relationships to each other and the very nature of what we call society. Can AI robotics be a help to us in many ways?
Yes, of course.
Absolutely. I believe they can.
Oh, it's not even a question. And everybody talks about AI in the context of generating anime characters with very, very large breasts. However, there's also AI and technology that's being used at scale with medical development that just really has so much levels of use and function, it's insane.
Technology being developed and not just
Yes, keep in mind, this is another really, really cute statistic. This one's really nice. Over 90% of the wealth growth inside of the economy following the COVID depression or recession was completely owned and enjoyed by 1% of the population. So just make sure you understand that. Over 90% of the growth of wealth in the last 4 years inside of the stock market was enjoyed by 1% of the population. That's why, you know, that's the reason why I've said, so you? Absolutely. 100%. I've made so much money. 100. Yes, absolutely. I know that because I see it. I see it. You're right. And so, and that is what's happened. And so they go, yeah, exactly. And so you own nothing and be happy. So, what I get him, guys. Yeah. Well, anyway, my point is that this happens, and so whenever you see the stock market going up, that doesn't mean anything. That's not real. All of that value is consolidated inside of a small handful of people, and its theoretical value to begin with. Keep that in mind.
We do not simply need a more efficient society. We need a world where people live healthier,
Yes.
happier, and more fulfilling lives.
And that will never be in an Amazon fulfillment center. I'll tell you that for sure. We should not be fighting about ways to counteract the secular effects of automation. So,
I don't have all the feel like there's two arguments as to how, in my view, the advances in technology and First, we approved a 32-hour work week, no loss of
the problem, especially with with this point of view, like I think he's right in principle, but I think in practice, people that are able to work not only 32 hours a week, not only 40 hours a week, but 60 now. Because now you're competing on fewer jobs. The people, and after that, they put you in jail.
Think about it. Today, American workers are
I'm wondering why there's blood
400%
right here.
more productive than they were
Somebody-
40 hours established.
That's
I
true.
guess
So, also, and this
Maybe
is
from his
very,
body
very
right here?
common ground.
Gotta be.
See, this is productivity versus wage stagnation. And sorry about this. There we go. Is this going to be a better version of it? Okay, yeah. Disconnect between productivity, and this is why he's using 1940 here. Look at this: hourly compensation versus productivity. So even 32 hours. What's funny about this is 32 hours sounds like it's not a lot, right? But at least compared to 40. But if this is for
improving the quality of life for millions of Americans.
I think that's like I agree, but again, I think it's a stopgap.
Countdown initiated. Stand by for takeoff. Reinforcement budget depleted. Extraction complete. Option 1 beginning ascent.
Paycheck to paycheck. So really, I mean, again, this is a bit. I'm not trying to dissect and like criticize a whole lot here, but what I'm saying is that you need to approach this problem from like 50 different directions.
Second, We must require large corporations to allow workers to elect at least 45% of the members of their boards of directors, similar to what already takes place in Germany.
That's an interesting idea. I've never really heard about this. I'm just hearing about this right now. So I don't have an opinion on, I don't have like a snap opinion on this.
Workers need a seat at the table to best determine how AI is used in their companies.
Fundamentally, I agree. Like, actually, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that reasoning, but I agree with the idea that workers should have a seat at the table. I think that right now, like, unions can be problematic and tyrannical, but I think right now unions are tyrannical and problematic ratio.
Extraction complete. Welcome on beginning ascent.
Unions support more stuff like that, and you know, that's what I believe. That doesn't mean I think unions are the solution, but I think the power imbalance is too much in one direction. Unions can be too.
If Tesla workers were on their
Unions are suffocating these jobs. I think that you can go back to, like, you know, for example, railroad unions when coal, like, I'll give you an example of that point that you're making. Their job used to be loading coal into the engine of a train, and then once engines stopped using that's an example of a union overreach that is a company should not have an obligation to keep your job on life support. A company's function is to make money. A government's function is to take care of people. We should be looking at the government to do this, not trying to strong-arm companies into doing it.
board, I doubt very much that they would be rewarding Elon Musk with $1 trillion.
He's going to get a lot of money out of that. That's going to be crazy if he...
Third, we must greatly increase profit sharing at our nation's largest corporations. In my view, workers should receive 20% of the stock in companies they work for. Corporate profits should not just be going to enrich wealthy stockholders and the billionaires who own them. Fourth, we need to understand the concept of employee ownership in America. When workers own their own businesses and are more involved,
this is something that I don't in a lot of cases is that, and I like paying people on percentages and on a performance basis. I think that's how you get the best workers, and that's how also, like, this is why, like, even in Warcraft, right? Like, this is a bit of an aside, but, like, even in World of Warcraft, like, I would give the best items to the best players. Because I think that if you give people if you reward winners, you get winners. If you reward losers, you get losers. Winners want commissions, winners want percentages, losers want baselines, losers want guarantees. That's my opinion.
the decision-making processes, they will make choices that benefit everyone, not just the
Yes.
Instead of providing billions of dollars in companies that are throwing workers out on the street and replacing them with new technologies, we should enact a robot tax on large corporations.
Right? They overseas, and you'd have the same problem that we have. So I don't know if that would solve the problem, but I think that the concept that he's talking about is legitimate. I agree with it. But that I think you'd have to really kind of go down.
AI and robotics will bring a profound transformation.
Tariffs come in. I understand.
Nobody My
Not
view,
at that scale.
fight benefits all of us, and not just a handful of people.
And also the people that are in their lives and then they're stopped playing. You are going to have top 5 of the population. Like those of start compounding and snowballing, and you're going to be fine no matter what. But the issue is that, you know, through top 1% revenue, top 1%
Calling in reinforcements.
salary is like $400,000, right? The fuck is this? Not interested. Is this a mean or a medium number? Oh no! I mean, I got it right for Western, but well, I thought 700,000 families. I didn't know that was for individuals. I thought it was for families and households. Holy shit. And think about this. Top 1% height. Top 1%. How many people do you know that are over 6 foot tall or 6 foot 4 high? Like, really, yeah. So think about that. In order to protect yourself, think about going to the grocery store and maybe 1 or 2. So yeah, there you go. Bro out of touch and back cave? No. That's the point that I'm making. Is that the reason why I'm comparing height is for how common it is. That's the point that I'm making with this.
Let the debate
I thought it was
begin,
6'3",
and
actually.
we need your participation.
As long as in
Thank
high
you
school, that's
very
what they told me. I mean, again, I'm the only person talking sense with a lot of these actual working class rather than a fucking like mind-broken identity politics, mentally ill Twitter warrior. He's one of the only guys that's talking about this. Bernie Sanders and a lot of other viewpoints on different topics. I really think that this issue specifically, I think he really has a good grasp on it. And I think he's one of the only guys out there that's talking about this in a legitimate way. And I think that we need more people out there talking about this, because if we don't build something that is basically, if we don't build something that's ready for this whenever this effectively singularity does happen, we're going to have a type of social unrest that will make BLM a nice it's going to be awesome. Mass crime. Yeah, the whole thing. It's going to be absolute fucking chaos. Social collapse. Yeah, it's going to be horrible. I'll read a few more of these comments. I'm extremely opinionated about this. I'm very passionate about this topic. I care a lot about this. And so I know a lot of you guys, got a lot of people I like them. Discussing and see how important this is. I really profoundly important. and it's a existential problem that will be affecting the entire world. Andrew Wang was taking I mean, I know that. I agree. I liked him then. Right then. I think he's right now. And he was just it's like Microsoft making a tablet in 1999 or 2000, or Google Stadia. You didn't have a bad idea. You had the wrong timeline. So it's that simple. I agree with his intent, not his solutions. Yeah, I think that's really fair. Absolutely. He's been saying this shit for years, bro. I've yet to see a single thing he's done for us. I do like him a lot, but he doesn't change much. There have been a number of bills because the bill was in one way or another more corporate welfare. That's the point. That's the problem. Is that there are so many other people in politics. A lot of other people are way more imperfect than he is. He doesn't change much because he's consistent. Yeah, he's just not. I think that he's this problem. Problem with Bernie is that he's radical left as a vessel for their identity politics. I don't know why he did that. I don't really think that he did entirely. I see your point of view, and I think that there are instances of that happening. Much more is that radical. This is. I don't want to go super into the conspiracy fucking radical. And all those fucking executives saw a bunch of random unwashed masses outside of their Manhattan houses and actually asking for a cut of the a piece of the pie. They said, "Oh my God, this is horrible. These Democrats might actually cause us some real problems." And after that, I think there was a top-down, business-minded, artificial, intentional infusion of an injection of identity politics and I think it's annoying, but the real problem and a intentional that way the Democratic Party will never actually be able to unite in any sort of a legitimate way and consolidate any sort of class consciousness at all. Because and that's why they did it. %40 of
Kids these days, kids don't read for pleasure anymore. Crisis. Are we living through a literacy crisis, or is this just a long-standing failure dressed up as something new?
Okay.
You need to know how to read numbers.
Years old.
Yeah. And it allows relatively stable since until 2019, when they started saying that 40% of students can't read. But that's not what those statistics mean. So now 40% of fourth graders can't read at what's considered a basic level, and only 30% proficient level. That they can't read. But the literacy crisis.
Sounds like they can't read, you know? And that's worried about this. Like, we used to have a kid, he's like 10 or 11. He couldn't read. And we'd be driving around and he'd be asking his little sister to read for him. We called this kid retarded so much that he learned how to read.
Doesn't stop at elementary schools. And that brings us to our second number, 28%.
We bullied him into reading.
That's the share of U.S. adults that are at the lowest level of literacy.
Whoa, wait, hold on. Let me listen.
Number, 28%. U.S. adults that are at the lowest level of literacy.
28% of adults. So the top performers are going down, others are going up. That's pretty bad.
In the last decade, that number has increased by 9.
Sounds like it's not a lot, but when you start at 20 and you go up by 9, that is
Adults can't read. Allow them to navigate the world. And our final number is that's Mississippi's ranking in 4th grade literacy as of 2020. In 2013, Mississippi was ranked 4th bottom of the country's rankings, and now they are well above the middle. And that's because
wow.
they saw the problem and they actually
They tried to talk to kids out of
the First, take a slightly closer look at that NAEP data. Literacy scores have been declining since
everybody knows this.
it happened in 2020, which caused a lot of school closures, and we've generally seen learning loss across the board.
Like with like handwriting, and like all the words are spelled wrong.
Struggling to read at a basic level. This tells us something important. If we
So
want
they're dumb and they're getting dumb.
the biggest students who study at really great colleges and universities are also struggling. At the University of Texas here in Austin, professors told their school newspaper that they would be shortening reading assignments and transitioning to assigning things like YouTube videos and audiobooks instead of physical.
Of Texas because I'm a reader. Like, am I? Do I get course credit?
Because students simply didn't have the patience for reading assignments anymore. One professor was told by his students that Shakespeare's Hamlet was too long to read. Now, Hamlet is the longest.
I love this. This is amazing. Oh my god. That's nothing. I've read Twit Longers that are longer.
Their students where they are. That same professor who was told that Hamlet was too long, he
They don't need to meet the students where they are. The students need to meet the school where it is. Like whenever you were working at like an engineering factory, have instructions, and there isn't going to be a TikTok video that's going to explain it to you. The Bible said, yeah, I know. Like, there's plenty of books that have way more. Like, my dad has like a copy of the Karamazov just randomly on the floor. It's like this fucking thick. So, no, this is a hour. And I'm not a reader. I'm not reading. But even I know this is ridiculous.
struggling to read. Hardly read at all.
That's right.
Many Americans simply don't read books, and I think about 10% of college graduates haven't read a book in the last year. They don't know how to read.
I don't read books. I don't. They're a waste of time. Like, I don't read for pleasure. The only thing that I read for is information. I spend hours every day reading, but I don't read books.
Maybe that's because they haven't been taught how to be a good reader.
This
All right,
is
let's
the
talk.
story of two friends, Chris.
Looks like we're gonna have to go get... Zach, we got a letter in the mail.
What?
Zach, we got a letter in the mail.
What does it say?
It says we have to pay a fee for receiving this letter.
But we don't have any cash.
Well, looks like we're gonna have to go get some money.
Yeah.
Hey, how about we sell your pottery? It looks pretty good.
You look pretty good.
How will we get the cash?
It's easy. We get some apples and we sell them to the black market.
Well, where are we gonna get the apples?
Right here. Hey, look, a talking tree.
I can do more than talk.
Like what?
Crawl into my hole and find out. You have nice titties for a little boy.
Chris, I don't like this.
Me neither. We should bounce.
Kick my wood, you fucking slut.
Somebody help me, please!
Ah, yeah!
Where the heck are we?
The black market. Hi, we need to sell stuff to the black market.
What? Get out of here before I call the cops on you goddamn racists.
But we're selling apples.
Apples? Motherfucker, you should have said so earlier. It's $50 a pop.
Hell no, we ain't going for no less than 55 a pop. Apples. We're not racist.
All right, here. Now get the hell off my lawn.
Wow, look at all this cash. What should we spend it on? Well, at least we can keep the doctor away.
Oh, man. The mailman is back and we still couldn't afford to pay the bill.
Don't worry, Chris. I have an idea. Look, sir. We don't...
Look, sir. We don't mean any trouble and we know that you're just doing your job and all. But my friend and I couldn't afford to pay the bill. I don't know if it means anything to you, but we're real sorry. And hopefully you can find it in your heart to forgive us. Fuck you. no more Bill.
Pause for a second and ask ourselves what it means to be
Chris?
The psychologist Daniel Willingham has this book called The Reading Mind, and in this book he points out that reading is actually a fairly demanding task. First, you have to be able to understand the words on the page, and that's usually what we mean when we say that we're teaching kids to read. But actually, reading involves 3 additional levels of representation. You need to be able to extract ideas from sentences. You need to be
That's hard.
able to extract the idea across those sentences.
You're out. That's it. No, I can see. I can see why we're having problems. Totally makes sense.
And then you integrate this within a model in your mind.
Bro, like, people misunderstand tweets. You think they're gonna be able to read a book? No.
That answers the question of what the text is about. And Willingham notes that many readers fail at this. They're not able to point out obvious contradictions in a paragraph that they read. If you're not reading at a level where you could even catch obvious contradictions, then you're going to struggle when you're reading sets of instructions or complicated forms. And really that contributes to what we called functional illiteracy before. That's that illiteracy that...
It's like you can read, but you can't ever read when it matters. You can only read when it doesn't matter. You can read the sports stats. You can read a romance novel about how a woman falls in love with a wizard. And this is also a billionaire. But you can't read instructions on how to put together a vacuum cleaner. You can't figure that out.
Makes it difficult for you to navigate your day-to-day life. Being able to connect ideas is actually a skill you need to develop. And I found that when I was teaching, that skill was something that my college students still needed to develop. I found that the worst question I could possibly ask when I started a discussion over text in the class was, what is this text about? Because most students could tell you what some of the sentences said, but they weren't able to form a picture of the cohesive whole. That meant that I...
You know what? I don't know if he's going to put this together. Think about how many people on Twitter say, Grok, summarize this for me. Uh-oh. That's a lot, isn't it? Wow. Yep, good example. Yep. They're in front of you.
I had to guide them through interpreting. I would have to ask them questions like, what is the thesis of this article or this book or whatever it was that we were reading? Yes. Where are the arguments and the evidence for that thesis? And then is there any irrelevant or unnecessary...
Impressed. In the future, these people will be turned into human batteries, and some of them will be turned into... You don't have to worry about this. Everything's going to be okay.
This was a process that I would do so that they could learn. But there was another barrier for these principles, which is that they lacked War and Peace is a historical novel. It is set in a particular time and place. You don't need to know all of the historical details to make sense of War and Peace. But having some idea of European history and maybe France's connection to Russia, people like Napoleon or Louis XVI are...
Napoleon, remember he's from that movie with the llama? That's a good movie. It came out when I was in high school.
Things that would be useful for you as you're reading. It would make reading War and Peace a less demanding
Pedro,
task.
remember him?
And I found that a lot of my students had historical knowledge or just general world knowledge, which would make reading books easier. I think part of this...
I think that's actually a really good point that he's bringing up, is that, like, people... information. So, like... that's going to harm your ability to process this in a contextualized way. Don't ask Tectone? Well, that was in 1800.
To do with the fact that at some point we started to emphasize critical thinking over